Good morning, everyone. Good morning from New York, or good afternoon. Okay. First, I'm going to give you a little overview of what we are going to tell you in the next hours. Susan's already mentioned it. I will give you an introduction, a very brief introduction to the UN document symbols and how they are structured and what they mean. And then I will tell you something about the main document types that exist within the UN. And then I'll pass over again to Susan, who will tell you how to find these documents in the UN Digital Library, and she'll give you a brief overview of other online resources that are available for you for your research. So, what is a UN document symbol? Each UN document has a document symbol that consists of a combination of numbers and letters. And this is the unique identifier for a UN document. So each document has this symbol, and there is one symbol for all language versions of the document. So if you have some basic knowledge about document symbols and how they are structured, you might be able to tell roughly what a document is about, so which body issued it, when it was issued, even if you're not able to read the language. So we have only one document symbol. There's one example here for all these languages. So throughout the presentation, you will see these links, which lead to pages research.un.org. And there you will find so-called research guides on the library website, where we have put together a wealth of information about UN documentation. So should you forget anything, this would be the place to go and look up the information again. So document symbols, how are they structured? They start with the first component, which indicates the principal or main organ the document is being submitted to, or that is issuing the document. And this can be the General Assembly, which is indicated by an A, the Security Council, indicated by S. Then we have the E, that stands for the Economic and Social Council, and the ST, which indicates a secretariat document. I also like to compare document symbols and their structure to a language. They have their rules, as well as languages do have rules, but all languages have exceptions to these rules, and the same holds true for document symbols. So here that already starts with the very first component, because there are some bodies that have a special series symbol that does not reflect their parent organ, which in the examples you see here would be the General Assembly, but the General Assembly is not reflected here. So then we can move on to the second component. And this second component tells you where within a main body a document exists. So we can have a variety of options here. The AC for an ad hoc committee, C for a standing, permanent or main committee. So as you can see in the example down here, it's A/C1. C1 stands for the first committee. So we could have C1, C2, C3, etc. CN for commission, CONF for conference, WG for working group, and so on. So we have the first two components. We mentioned this first example. The second is an ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council document, indicated by the E in the document symbol. And then it's CN9. Here we see it's a commission. And in this case, CN9 stands for the Commission on Population and Development. Let's move on to this next component, which is the special component. And this special component reflects the type of document you have. So you will pretty often see an L in the document symbol, and the L generally indicates draft documents. This can be draft resolutions in many cases, but could also be draft reports, for example. And the L stands for limited distribution, which stems from a time when not all the documents were accessible online. So now you can see all the drafts online. They are all accessible. They are not limited. But in a time when everything was printed a draft was not printed in the whole number unless a resolution, for example, was adopted. So that's the L. Then you can see PRST, which stands for a statement by the President, either of the Security Council or the Human Rights Council. Very often you will see the RES, which stands for a resolution. And then we have two types of meeting records. It can either be a PV, a verbatim record, or an SR, which stands for summary record. I will explain this in more detail in a few minutes. So here you can see we have this example A/C1/60PV1. So without seeing the document, we know that this is a General Assembly document. It's a first committee document. So this number here indicates the session information. So this is a document from the 60th session of the General Assembly. We see the PV, so we know it's a meeting record, and it's a verbatim meeting in this case. And the number that follows is just a sequential number. So this would be the meeting record of the first meeting of the first committee in the 60th session. So let's move on to yet another component of the document symbol, but this one is the final one now, and that appears as a suffix to the symbol, and it reflects modifications to the original text. So if something was added to the text, there can be an addendum indicated by the ADD. There can be an amendment, so some part of the text was altered by decision of an authority. There can be a corrigendum, and the interesting fact about this is that it may only apply to one language version. So, for example, if there was a translation error in the Russian version, only the Russian version will be corrected and will have a corrigendum. And last, we have a revision. The revision differs from the other documents because it replaces the whole text that was previously issued. With the other three, only the document that bears the suffix only contains the part of the text that was altered. With the revision, the whole text is being replaced. So that was a very brief overview of document symbols. And then now we move on to the main types of documents that exist within the UN. So what do we have? We have, of course, resolutions and decisions, meeting records, reports, letters, presidential statements. So let's start with resolutions. So what are resolutions? Resolutions are the formal expressions of the will or the opinion of a United Nations organ. And it's usually pretty straightforward to look for them because they are issued as individual documents, which means that they are assigned their own document symbols. But of course, we don't want to make matters too easy, so that for each main body, the pattern of the document symbol is slightly different. So we have the General Assembly. The General Assembly resolution follows the pattern A/res/session information /sequential number. Then we move on to the Security Council. Here you have S for Security Council, res, then follows the sequential number, and then follows the year, because the Security Council doesn't follow the sessions as the General Assembly does. It means year-round. So there's the year information in the document symbol. And this is part of the document symbol and may be crucial to find the document. So then we have the Economic and Social Council resolutions. These resolutions have only been issued as individual documents since 2012. And they bear the document symbol ERES, then the year, this time not in brackets, but and slashes, and then the sequential number. So, and last we have the Human Rights Council resolutions. They have the A for the General Assembly, HRC, Res, then the session information, and then the sequential number. So we have these resolutions and we have decisions. Decisions, in contrast to resolutions, are used to designate more formal, rather non-substantive actions or routine matters. For example, elections, meeting times and places, appointments, or sometimes a body is just taking note of a report that was submitted to it. And it can be a bit tricky to find decisions because they are normally not issued as separate documents and not assigned their own document symbols. But there are places where you can find them. For example, in the compilations of in the annual compilations of resolutions and decisions. So these compilation volumes are issued for the principal organs. There are 3 volumes per year for the General Assembly, 1 for the Security Council and 1 for the Economic and Social Council. And there is all resolution and decision related information compiled. So you have the texts of resolutions and of decisions, and also related information like sponsorship and voting. Resolutions that are adopted by subsidiary bodies are usually published in the sessional reports of these bodies. We will come to this in a bit. They are not contained in these annual compilations. So another place where you can find decision texts before the annual compilations are issued, because that usually takes a while, are the meeting records in which they are adopted. So meeting records contain actions that were taken, like voting, like the adoption of a resolution or a decision. They can contain statements and speeches. So you have voting information, and you will have decision texts if a decision was adopted. So as I said, there are 2 types of meeting records that we have. So one type is the so-called verbatim record, indicated in the document symbol by the PV, which stands for the French procès-verbaux. And this contains the full first-person account of the proceedings of a meeting. So here you will get every word that was being said during the meeting. So like in this example, I am speaking, I will essentially speak. You know, it's the first person. You have a PV record. You get the full information of everything, what was going on during the meeting. So we can have either a PV record or a summary record. The summary record contains a condensed version of the proceedings of a meeting, and it is written in the 3rd person. It's indicated in the document symbol by the SR, which stands for summary record. So here we have an example that somebody said in his country, he also welcomed, he requested information. Now you see it's in the 3rd person. You won't get the information about everything that was being said, but you will get all the information, what was important during the meeting and what was going on. So you will either have a verbatim record or a summary record, and entitled to verbatim records are the plenary of the General Assembly and the First Committee and the Security Council. All other entities that are entitled to meeting records usually have summary records. So I've already briefly mentioned the sessional reports of the subsidiary bodies. So that's a place to look if you're looking for resolutions adopted by subsidiary bodies, because they submit their reports to their parent organ. And these reports contain their resolutions and decisions other summaries of discussions that were held during the reporting period, and they may also include draft resolutions that the subsidiary body recommends its parent organ to adopt. So if you're looking for any information about a subsidiary body, what was going on there, its sessional report would be the place to look for the information. So we have these sessional reports, and we have reports of the Secretary General. The SG, Secretary General, submits reports to the principal organs when they ask for it, usually by a resolution. And this can be on a huge variety of topics, whatever the organs are asking for. For example, peacekeeping, political situations, legal topics, human resources, UN reforms. So a lot is possible there. There is no distinguishing symbol element for a report of the General Assembly. So it's not indicated in the document symbol, like, for example, a resolution is. But with our tools, there are ways to find Secretary General reports. So the same is true for letters. They are also not indicated in the document symbol. Letters may come from member states, from the Secretary General or other presiding officers of UN organs. And the letters may be addressed to the Secretary General and to these officers as well. The letter in itself might not be super interesting, but it may transmit a report, a statement, or an outcome document of a subsidiary body, a regional group meeting, or of another international organization. In order to become a UN document, it has to be expressed in the letter itself. So whoever sends the letter has to write into the letter that he or she wants the letter to become an official UN document, for it to be assigned a document symbol and be uploaded to the system. If this doesn't happen, it won't become a UN document, and it might be close to impossible to find it, at least for us in the library. So to give you an example of what a letter looks like and what basically every UN document looks like, because this is what a UN document looks like. This on top here, this is what we call the masthead section, which has all the information like the body, the document symbol, the date, the distribution policy, the language. So, and it has a title. And when you have a letter, the title always says that it is a letter. It tells you who sent it and to whom it was sent. And it will give you actually two dates. The first date is this one here, when the letter was sent. And the second, up in the top right corner, tells you when it became a document symbol and when it became a document, a UN document, and was processed. So when looking for letters, it usually makes sense to search with a specific time frame, because there are several dates involved. So, and now I will pass over to Susan, who will give you some more hints and tips and tricks of how to find certain UN documents in our databases.
So Jenny gave you an overview of the types of documents that we have available, and the types of documents you would typically see at the UN. Before getting into the databases, I just want to cover what is actually available online, because it isn't complete. You're not going to find all UN documents available online. In 1993, the documents started being produced digitally, which means that from documents from 1993 forward, you should be able to find those documents online in the UN databases. There have been projects over the year to digitize older documents, such as the resolutions, Security Council plenary documents, the meeting records of the plenary meetings of the General Assembly. Also, I would say most of the committee meeting records should be in the different databases, and the supplements to the General Assembly official records. So these are all projects where they decided to digitize a series of documents. Also, since, like probably about 20 years or so, we have been digitizing documents as they've been requested and putting them into the database. So there's a lot of documents that don't fall into these two categories that are actually available online. So what I tend to tell people is when you're looking for UN documents, if it's from 1993 onwards, you should be able to find it. If it's older than 1993, there is a chance that it's not available online. So you can always check the databases, see if it's there. If it's not there, you can contact the library and we can go through a process of getting those documents scanned for you. I'll just note right now, since we're not physically present in our library, there is a bit of a delay in the scanning process, but we are working on it and we're getting those documents to you as quickly as we can. Before I get into the digital library, which is what I'm going to focus on this session today, I just want to show you the easiest way to find a UN document if you have the document symbol. The document symbol is very useful when you're looking for documents because you can just basically do this trick. I'm just going to open up a browser here. You type into your browser undocs.org and then a document symbol that you're looking for. So let's say I'm looking for ARES 74.3. This will link you directly to the document. You can see here. You can switch to different language versions up here. And this link stays stable. So you can use this link in an email, in a report, that sort of thing, and it will go directly to that document available there. So if you do have a document symbol, quickest way to find the document. Just the one thing to note is if there are any amendments, addendums, revisions, or corrigendums, the system won't pick it up. It will only pick up the document that you actually request. There are a number of places that you can look for UN documents, but we're going to focus today on the UN Digital Library. And the reason for that is because it's one access point where you can find a lot of information. As Jenny mentioned in the session earlier, letters, Secretary General reports, those things don't have uniform symbols. The digital library allows you to find that kind of information. So when you're looking for documents by a certain type, that sort of thing, you can find that there. Also in the digital library, we have UN publications. We have voting information. So if you want to find out how member states voted on resolutions, adopted resolutions in the General Assembly or the Security Council, you can find that. We have speech records, which will allow you to search for speeches in official meetings of the UN. And then there's a collection of digitized maps, UN oral history. The important thing to know is it's only UN material. So if you're looking in our collection and you want to know what kind of books we have in the library, we won't have that. We only have UN material in the digital library itself. I'm going to click on the digital library here. And in this presentation, I'm going to go back and forth between the PowerPoint and doing a live demonstration just to make sure I cover everything. So this is what the homepage of the digital library looks like. There's a number of ways that you can search. You can search here in the box here and do a simple search. You can search by different collections here, and you can do an advanced search here. I'm going to start by doing a simple search. The important thing to know when you're searching, when you're doing a simple search, what the digital library is doing is it's searching the description of the document. It is not searching the full text of the document by default. So if I type in multilingualism, for example, and I do a search, I will get my results here. And you can see my first result here is a draft resolution on multilingualism. I'm just going to click on this result and show you. This is what it looks like. These are the files that has the document that I can download there. This is the information that I'm searching when I'm searching the digital library by default. So the details or the description of the document. And if I scroll down further, I can see I can actually view the document down here. I just need to change to English. So that's what I'm looking at when I'm doing a search and I get my results. I'm just going to go back to my results page and show you here on the sides this is where I'm able to actually request the system to give me, say, for example, reports. And I can say I want them from the General Assembly, and then I can choose the year down here. Now, depending on how your browser is showing, this may be on the side here, or if your script is a little bit bigger, you can see it disappears from the side. It's now under this options button. So you can see there I've got my resource type, my UN body, and my date. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger, so that goes to the side. I also want to show you under the options button here, you have the ability to sort by different features. So you can see here, if you look at my results, the first one here is from 1999. Then there's one from 2012. Then there's one from 2014. We find in most cases, people are looking for the most recent document. The default is set to a relevance search. We actually suggest that you do a search and then you go under options and choose year descending. And then you will get your most recent documents at the top. So you can see 2019, 2018, 2017, etc. So you do your search, you find your documents, you narrow on the side to the type of documents that you're looking for, and then under options, you choose year descending to get the most recent documents. I'm just going to go back to my PowerPoint and make sure that I covered everything. Oh, one of the things I didn't mention is that when you're searching the document, the metadata or the description of the document is only in English. So you want to search in English. And although you can do a full text search, and I will show you the full text search, it doesn't do it automatically. You actually have to turn that service on. And it's searching the UN documents, it's searching the voting information, and it's searching that speeches result. And then, as I said, you can refine the search by this facet. So by the resource type or the UN body, and it might be under options or on the left side. Available there. And then under options, the default sort is relevance, but we actually recommend you choose year descending to get the most recent documents at the top. There is an option to search to sort by latest first. We don't recommend that. What latest first means is the most recent documents that have been entered into the system. So if a document's been digitized recently, it will go to the top of the latest first. It doesn't reflect when the document has been published, but when it's been entered into the system. So there's the sorting there. So that's a basic search. As I mentioned, there's other ways that you can search. You can also search within the collections. So I'm going to show you two types of ways you can search in the collection. You can search by resource type, and you can search by UN body. So here I am. I'm going to go back to the home here, and I'm going to search by resource type. I mentioned in the session we have UN documents. We also have voting data and speeches. So you can see under resource type here, if I clicked on documents and publications, I could choose to search only in draft resolutions, only in resolutions, only in meeting records, or I'm going to choose here to search the voting data. So here I am in the voting data, and I'm going to search for just a very simple search here, peace. Oops. So when I do my search for peace, you can see I've got voting data here. You can see on the side, my facets have changed. So now instead of the different UN bodies, I only have two options because the voting data is only for General Assembly resolutions adopted with a vote and Security Council resolutions adopted with a vote. So I'm going to choose General Assembly. Sorry, I should say General Assembly resolutions adopted or Security Council resolutions adopted. You can see you can filter on the side between vote and without a vote. And then you can filter by subject and by date. So I'm just going to choose options, year, to get my most recent results at the top. And then you can see here we've got a vote here that tells me a summary of how member states voted. And if I click on the result, Here, this looks different from before. You don't see a UN document. What you see is the related resolution, the related meeting record, the related draft resolution and committee report, a summary, the voting date, and then how member states voted. Y means yes, A means abstained, N means no, and if there's nothing, then they didn't vote. So I can search for voting data specifically by going into that voting data collection. I'm going to go back to my homepage just by clicking at the top there under the digital library. So that's searching by resource type. So if I wanted to look for voting information, I could find it there. And then if I wanted to look specifically at documents, say from the Security Council, I can click on Security Council here. And then I'm looking only at Security Council documents. By the way, if you do have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat. My colleague who is monitoring the chat is very knowledgeable and she can answer any questions that I'm not able to see at this moment. Actually, I'm going to minimize that. Okay, so I'm in the Security Council collection right now, and let's say I want to look for documents related to Yemen. I will search Yemen here, and then I can say I want meeting records, and I can filter by date here if I want. So let's say I want all the meeting records from 2020 that relate to the Security Council and Yemen. If I click on this result here, you can see in the description that this is about political conditions in Yemen. And you can see there's also subjects down here related to what this document is about. So if I wanted to just look at the Security Council documents, I can do that by going under Security Council. So that's searching by collection. So I'll go back here. And you can see here, as I said, you can look by resource type or you can look by body. There's an example of looking at the voting data. And here's an example looking at Yemen. Also, just don't forget under options to sort by year descending to get the most recent results first. I said 2020, so all of my results were 2020, but you can also sort by year descending. Now I'm going to show you the full text search. So by default, as I said, what the digital library is searching is the description of the document, but you can do a full text search. And the way that you need to do this is you do your first search and then you turn the full text search on. So I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm going to look for sustaining peace. You can click on search. And you can see I get 473 results here. Now you see over at the side here, there's a full text search and it's on off. I'm going to turn it on. You can see my results will go from 473 to 7,961. Now, this is looking for those terms sustaining and peace anywhere in the UN document. I have to open up the full text file and look for those terms. I'm going to change this and put sustaining peace in quotations. And you'll see my results, my 7,900 results, now are 1,900. Because basically what I've asked the system to do now is to look for these two words together as a phrase. So they have to appear together in that order. Without the quotes, I'm looking for the term sustaining and I'm looking for the term peace, but they don't have to appear together, which is why I get a lot more results. As I said at the beginning, when you're searching the description of the document, the description is only in English, but if you wanted to search in another language, the full text actually does allow you to do that. So long as the full text is on, you can see now, I actually have to open the document to find the term in Spanish, but it is searching the document in Spanish. So that's the full text search. So yes, you turn it from off to on. When you turn it on, it is actually searching the UN document itself, as well as the description. And then it does matter when you use the quotation marks, because the quotation marks tell the system that you're looking for that as a phrase, not you're looking for those two words. So that's the full text search. Now I'm going to show you the advanced search. And the advanced search allows you to do a more precise search because the advanced search will allow you to search within a particular field. So if you want to say, look for a particular author combined with a particular title or a subject, you can find that information there. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go into the advanced search. So the advanced search here, you can leave this as all these words. And I'm going to search here for Indonesia as author. And this will help me pick up letters by Indonesia, draft resolutions sponsored by Indonesia, and maybe a report by Indonesia. That sort of information can be found there. And then I can say, for instance, ocean, and I can search for that in the title. When I click on search, you can see here I'm getting results for ocean and oceans and law of the sea. So I'm going to choose year, descending, and then I could say I want the draft resolutions sponsored by Indonesia. When I click on this result here, if I scroll down, you see under the author here, these are all the co-sponsors of this draft resolution, and you can see Indonesia is one of the ones that is listed. So that's one example of an advanced search. I'm going to show you another example you can do in the advanced search here. So I'm going to take off Indonesia and oceans. I'm going to remove the draft resolutions here. And I'm going to say I'm looking for the report of the Statistical Commission. So report of the Statistical Commission. This is a commission under ECOSOC that annually reports to ECOSOC. And so I'm going to choose that as series. And then I'm going to click on search. And there you can see I'm getting the annual report there. So if I click on this record here, you'll see under series here, there's report of the Statistical Commission. So that's what it's searching for, and that's why it's finding all of the annual reports of the Statistical Commission. If I wanted to, I could then, in fact, do a full text search, searching only in that report of the Statistical Commission. Click on the home there, and I'm just going to go back to my presentation. I should show you this part here where we say what we recommend. So if I go to the advanced search here, the default is set to all these words, which means that it's searching for any words appearing in the field here. You can also choose partial phrase. So if you're looking for something like, for instance, sustaining peace would be an example where you use partial phrase. I would ignore any of these words exact phrase or regular expressions. The other thing here is down here it says added and modified since. Once again, this is reflecting when the document has been added into the digital library, not when the document has been published. So if you want to search by year, you can actually choose here under a field, you can choose year, or you can filter at the side and you'll get the year documents that are there. The other thing I wanted to show you before I leave here is the advanced search in the speeches database. So you can see I did a search in the voting database, which is finding voting information. And if you remember, the filters on the side were different. It's the same with the speeches because they're sort of unique databases within the digital library. So you can see on the side here, I have UN body, country, organizations, and subject. In the same way that the filters are different, the advanced search is different. So I'm going to click on advanced search here. And here you can see in my drop-down menu, this is a little bit different. So if I wanted to, I could search for speeches by Guterres. And you can see I'm getting different speeches by Guterres. And I can choose here the UN body. I can choose what country and organization he represents. So if I wanted to find his speeches when he was the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, I can choose that. And then I can choose the dates here. When I click on a result here, you'll see once again, same with the voting data, there is no file here. So if you're actually looking for the text of this speech, you need to click on meeting record here, which will take you to the file for the meeting record. And then contained within this meeting record, you'll find the speech that he gave representing the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to take that one off. And I'm going to search for Portugal. Here. And I can choose that as country and organization. And click on search. And then you can see I can look to see speeches made by representatives of Portugal. I'm going to choose year to get the most recent ones at the top. And you can see there I've got a representative from Portugal speaking about peace building. I click on that result. It will take me, give me more information about that speech. And then from there I can go to the meeting record. So that's the advanced search when it comes to speeches. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint now. So there's a search for the report of the Statistical Commission. There's a search for Guterres as speaker, and then you can narrow on the side to which country or organization he's representing. And then finally, I want to point out some additional features about the digital library, which it is useful to know about. So the first one I'm going to talk about is what are called Boolean operators. That's basically the logic that the digital library is using. So I'm going to just do a search here. The default search is basically an AND search. So it's combining two terms together. So I'm going to type in peacekeeping financing, for example. And what the system is doing is it's looking for terms that have both peacekeeping and financing in them. That's the default. So you can see there I have 9,000 results. I'm just going to change that to OR and put in that OR there. And then I'm asking the system to do something different. What I'm now asking the system to do is to search for the term peacekeeping or the term financing. So you can see my results now are basically 60,000 results. So the results have gotten much bigger because I'm asking for either term to be there. Now, I might not do that search with peacekeeping or financing, but I might do it for ocean or sea, for example. So when you want to look for either or term, then you want to use or. I normally capitalize it just as a good practice, but that's what that Boolean operator is. The second thing I want to point out, which is very useful to know about, is the asterisk. I'm going to do a search in Security Council documents here. So I'm going to go into the Security Council collection. And here I am going to look for resolutions about Syria. So I'm just going to not use the asterisk yet. And I'm going to show you here, I'm searching for the term Syria. And then I'm going to look at resolutions and decisions. And you'll see I have 21 results. If I add that star, I now have 87 results, which is actually more accurate. So basically, I'm going to open up this record and show you what this system is doing is it's looking for Syrian Arab Republic. So when I search for Syria, it's missing anything that has Syrian in there. So the star tells the system I want either Syria or Syrian. This is the same for Russia or Russian or child or children. So if I wanted to look for example, documents about child soldier or children in armed conflict, I would want to type in child and then add the star. And the star will tell the system that I want something that has that child as a root, but can have things afterwards. There is, along with what we've shown you now, which is some basic searching in the digital library, just so you know, under the help here, we have your simple search, which I've shown you, the faceting, I've shown you that, the sorting, I've shown you that, advanced search, full text. There is also an expert search. So if you're finding what you're searching in the digital library is not getting you precisely the results that you want, just know that there is an advanced search. It is a little bit complicated, so you can contact the library if you want to try doing an advanced search, and we can walk you through it, or you can look at the help guide up there. You can also contact us right here, and we have a chat service which is currently off, but normally this will pop up and you can ask us a question there. The last thing I wanted to show you is that you can actually personalize your collection. Or you can personalize your digital library in a sense, because you can create an account. You do not need to create an account to search the digital library, but if you want to save search results, or if you want to set up alerts, you can do that here. So I'm going to log in, but just so you know, if you don't already have an account and you'd like to create it, you can click here under create an account and fill out the form, and it will go to our colleagues who manage the digital library, and they will set up an account for you. But I'm going to log in as mine. And I'm going to do that search for child, let's say, and armed conflict. Click on search here. So I've done a search here. Now if I go under personalize and I go down to your searches, you'll see there is my search there. So if I'm logged in, the system will remember my searches, and I can I can do the search again. So you can see I have other ones down here. I can just click on execute search to rerun the search. Or if I want, I can click on set new alert and be notified when new documents that fit my search pattern come in there. So that's one of the reasons that you would want to set up an account. But you really don't need to do a search in the digital library. So as I said, there's the help, there's the contact us, there's the chat service that is usually on, and that's the digital library. Before I end my part of this session and we go to questions, I just want to point out a few online resources. There is the official document system, which you can find at documents.un.org. We didn't focus on it too much because the best way to search that is to search by document. And if you have a document symbol, it's just easier to do that undocs.org trick. Jenny mentioned at the beginning of the session a number of research guides that we have. You can find all of our research guides at research.un.org. We have a number of tables of GA resolutions, Security Council meeting records, Security Council vetoes. We have a database that allows member states to search for member states at the UN, so draft resolutions they've sponsored, speeches they've made, that sort of thing. So that's the UN member states on record. Ask DAG is our frequently asked database. It's also our chat function, so anytime you have a question, you can direct it to Ask DAG, and we're happy to help out. And then just pointing out a few other non-library resources that can be quite helpful: the press releases, UN journals, the yearbook of the UN, etc. But at any point, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer questions. This is our email here. Also, you can ask us through ask.un.org, or you can contact us through Ask DAG.